You're trespassing on HOA property. That's how my morning started. Coffee in hand, lake barely rippling, when Karen came barreling up my porch, red suit blinding in the sun, clipboard flapping like. She thought it could actually scare me off. She didn't know my mother, the real law, was inside sipping her tea, waiting by the window, and let me tell you, that woman has shut down bigger bullies than a middle-aged suburban dictator in heels. First time I drove my old truck up the gravel to the cabin, it felt like crossing into another world. Nothing fancy, just weathered cedar. A chimney my dad built by hand, porch creaking the way it always did. To outsiders, it looked like a relic tucked between pines and lake, but for me, it was sacred. My father's legacy. All those summers with bacon on the skillet and fireflies blinking above the dock. After he passed, I clung to this place, not as a trophy, but as a piece of him you couldn't price. See, the HOA never owned these woods. Their little kingdom ended a mile away, but they acted like every rock and pine needle was theirs to boss around. Out here, the only rules that mattered were the ones written by nature. If I wanted to fix my boat until midnight, nobody cared. If I wanted to drink coffee shirtless, there was nobody finding me for community standards. This was my refuge. No forms, no letters, no lectures. At least, that's what I thought. Before Karen stomped up the steps, there were signs, a black SUV lurking at the end of the road, a drone buzzing overhead, that weird feeling you get when someone's watching but doesn't have the guts to face you yet. Then, of course, came the arguments drifting over the tree line, muffled threats about compliance and boundaries. The HOA always sent scouts before they attacked, you know what I mean? I had the deed. I knew my rights. But entitlement doesn't need a reason, it just needs an excuse. Karen, she was the embodiment of that. She thrived on control, her identity built on telling other people how to live. Years back, first time I saw her, she didn't say hi, she inspected. Every word, every look, was about checking boxes, not making friends. Painted the wrong shade? Violation. Basketball hoop an inch too far? Fined. She didn't want neighbors, she wanted subjects. The day my mom arrived, pulling up in her silver sedan, things started to shift. She didn't come for backup, she just loved this place, too. Out here, she could stop being a judge and just be my mom, letting her guard down. For once. For 2 days, it was like old times, her reading by the window, me fixing fence rails and stacking wood. If Karen hadn't stormed in that morning, maybe we'd have gotten a week of peace. But bullies don't rest. Her SUV screeched into the drive. She came out with that voice turned up to 11. You're trespassing. Pack up and leave. Clipboard in hand, barking about regulations, trying to serve her own brand of justice. I leaned back in my father's old rocker, coffee warm in my hand. Violations? Against what? Enjoying a Saturday morning. She didn't laugh. Never did. She rattled off code after code. No permit, no landscaping approval, you name it. I squinted past her at the swing my dad once built, told her she could recite bylaws all day, but she'd still be wrong. The land was here before her rules and would be here long after her paperwork got recycled. I saw her eyes flicker, doubt, or maybe just surprised that someone didn't flinch. She hissed. We voted. This cabin's got to go. I laughed so hard a crow startled from the oak. You vote on the moon, too? Or just charge it dues? The crowd was growing, neighbors drawn by the drama, recording everything on their phones. Karen threatened fines, liens, even handcuffs. I nearly spit my coffee. Handcuffs. For what? Rocking without a permit. The neighbors chuckled. Karen didn't. She shouted. You set a terrible example. The rules keep order. I pointed at the lake, all calm and sunlit. Looks like order to me. Are you sure you're not the chaos? She said she'd bring the board, bring security, bring the law if she had to. I shrugged. Funny thing about the law, it doesn't always do what you want. That stumped her. She stomped back to her SUV, but not before promising. I'd regret it. I knew she'd be back, louder, madder, with reinforcements. And that's exactly what happened. 2 days later, just as I'm patching shingles, here come 3 trucks, HOA security in. Cheap vinyl, tough guys in black polos, tattoos and mirrored sunglasses, flexing like they're about to storm Normandy. Karen led the charge, clipboard waving, voice like a bullhorn. You're in violation. We've brought enforcement. The whole act was so ridiculous I nearly fell off the porch laughing. They paced around, eyeing my tools like they were cataloging contraband. Mrs. Davenport from down the road appeared, phone in the air, live streaming for the neighbors who'd gathered at the tree line. Karen threatened me again. Vacate or else. Her security flexed. The crowd giggled. Demolished? With what? Your SWAT team's biceps. The guards looked embarrassed, shifting their feet, one muttering under his breath. Karen snapped at them, then spun on me. This is your last chance. I stood up, calm as ever. You can buy all the shirts you want. You're still trespassing on my land. That word hit her like a slap. She stammered, tried to rally her troops, but the crowd was laughing, not with her, but at her. She stormed out, but she'd be back. That's Karen. Never gives up, just escalates. Sure enough, 3 days later, she arrived with a manila folder fat with official papers, 2 nervous board members trailing like sidekicks. She slammed it down. Legal citations, orders of compliance. You're done. I looked at her paperwork. Comic Sans font. Threats about serious action. I held it up. That's your big legal gun? Comic Sans. The neighbors roared. She claimed I owed dues for pools and landscaping. Never mind the closest pool. Was 6 miles away and I mowed my own grass. Lady, the only pool here is the lake, and God doesn't bill me for filling it. Even her own board started whispering. Karen, this isn't enforceable. She threatened to bring law enforcement next time. I said, please do. She'd lost the crowd, lost her grip, but she didn't realize it yet. Because the law was already inside the cabin, my mom. A judge, building a case without breaking a sweat. When Karen returned for the grand finale, she brought the whole board, bullhorns, glitter banners, one reading, Protect Property Values. I almost spit out my coffee again. They tried to form a picket line, but looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Karen shrieked about trespass and legal consequences. I told her, you don't have the law, you have paper and glitter. The crowd cheered. She screamed that the sheriff was coming, and I just smiled. You're about to regret making that call. That's when my mom finally stepped out, navy blazer, silver hair pulled back, black folder in hand. Karen sneered. Who are you, another trespasser? My mom didn't flinch. I'm his mother, and I'm a sitting judge for this district. You could hear the air go out of the crowd. She held up her ID, read the deed, showed the county maps. Our property line outside the HOA always has been. Your violations are null. Your security? Trespassing. Your attempts to collect dues? Fraud. The board started backing away, one whispering, she's right. Karen tried to rally them, but nobody followed. Mom didn't even raise her voice, just cut her down with the truth. You can walk away now, or you'll be explaining all this to the sheriff, and probably a judge too. Karen sputtered, but everyone saw it was over. The HOA convoy retreated, defeated. The neighbors cheered, shouting, Judge Mom. Phone still rolling. Mom turned to the crowd, sharp as ever. What you witnessed wasn't protection. It was harassment, and the law doesn't bend for a clipboard. Board members slunk away, some muttering apologies, others just looking shell-shocked. The Protect Property Values banner ended up, trampled in the dust. That was it. Karen's reign was done. The videos went viral. Neighbors who'd been scared started swapping stories. Even the quiet ones started to laugh. Karen disappeared. No more SUV, no more clipboard, just silence. One old vet down the road handed me a coffee, said, about time someone stood up to her. Turns out, when you finally call a bully's bluff, you find out they were never that powerful. My father built this cabin for peace. And now, thanks to my mom, it's staying ours. So if you've ever been bullied by an HOA or anyone, remember, stand firm, stay calm, know your rights. The moment you stop giving fear permission, their whole act falls apart. Have you dealt with a Karen, an HOA, or any bully trying to push you around? Share your story below. Trust me, you're not alone. If this battle made you laugh or gave you hope, hit that subscribe button for more wild HOA stories every week. You never know what'll happen next.